Hello, my name is Jan Demirjolo. I'm going to be talking about how to connect DocumentDB from an Azure Data Factory. In other words, how it could be used as a sink or a source. At this point, at the time of this presentation, DocumentDB was not supported by Azure Data Factory, but there is a way to access to the data. First, let me go through what is DocumentDB and how it looks like. I have 2 slides, and it is just going to be a brief introduction. It's a NoSQL document-oriented database. What it means is Microsoft came up with 2 different flavors of DocumentDB, or 2 different NoSQL services. One of them is DocumentDB, the other one is Azure Table, and DocumentDB is the one that's based on JSON, and it's a little bit more scalable than Azure Table. At this point, DocumentDB is in preview mode, hence it is a little bit cheaper to use it, but it has got less scalability features, and since it is in preview mode, there might be some reliability issues as well. So it's a database as a service, and it's managed and scalable solution. As I told you, it's based on JSON, hence it is somewhat schema-free. In other words, every object can have its own schema, which I wouldn't recommend, but you can have it. One of the cool features is it has got automatic indexing based on all the columns that you are providing, or based on all the keys that you are providing. And it has got tunable consistency. So if we want high consistency, low write performance, you can tune it so that it becomes highly available and highly consistent. And latency is always an issue, but again, it all depends upon how your system requirements are. Now let's compare the DocumentDB against the regular RDBMS databases. In the DocumentDB we have the database concept. In the RDBMS we again have the database concept. In the DocumentDB we have collections. In the RDBMS world we have tables. These are not one-to-one matches, but they are similar to each other. In the DocumentDB we have documents, and on the RDBMS side we have rows. In the DocumentDB we have document key, and the document key is actually corresponding to the column concept in the RDBMS. As I mentioned before, automatic indexing is one of the key features. In the RDBMS you have to define your indexes explicitly by yourself. There is no relationship between the collections. In other words, in our RDBMS world we can have foreign key, primary key relationships in between the tables and have constraints over it. Because of performance reasons, there is no relationship between the collections. Hence, if you have a business logic that it needs to be implemented, so you need to do it at the application layer. The interface could be SQL-like, but there are some other ways to access the data. And it supports, most importantly, natively MapReduce. That's how we are able to access to this data set, by the way. So let's go to DocumentDB first. If you come to portal.azure.com, you will be clicking on Browse All and clicking on DocumentDB accounts. You are going to see your first DocumentDB database. It's my DocumentDB database. Sorry about that. If you want to see the keys, here are the keys, and URI is over here. I'm going to delete this one pretty soon, so that's why I don't really care if you guys see it or not. Now, if you want to see the query or the data, you can just click on this one, the Document Explorer. Here you select a database and a collection, and it shows you by ID. Right now I do not have many rows, or which is called collections, hence it's not really, I don't have much data. If you want to do a query, what you can do is you can come over here and you can type it like this, families, and it's going to bring you the families all together. I have defined a class that's called families, and I think I have two members of that class. And family, how I define it, it is right here in this little Windows application. Here's how I define parents. It's first name and family name. Here's I define a child, and child can have multiple pets. And pets are defined as with a name. And I have a definition for their addresses, and I have a definition for family. That's it. And it is defined in JSON format. So this is how I have the data, or this is how the schema is defined on the data, the class is defined. And here I'm populating the data. First the Anderson family, and then the Wakefield family is available here. So, and what happens is, after I populate the data, I push the data with this particular command, create DocumentDB async, and you give the URI and the object, and it basically writes to the DocumentDB. That's how I write the data. And if you want to query, this is the syntax that you would use. Select star from families, which I used on the other side, on the ADF side. But if you want, you can use this syntax in your C# application as well. Now let's go back to our demonstration. So I think I go through all the subjects. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. You can ask it at the comment level. Now let's talk about the demonstration. I'll come over here. Let's go back to our data factory, which is located right here. So as I mentioned, the DocumentDB is not supported natively at this point by ADF. What I'm doing over here is I am pushing all the ADF jobs to Hive, because Hive actually can access the DocumentDB objects behind the scenes. I have a dummy table over here, which is just to make ADF happy. It has nothing to do with the execution. I have almost a dummy table as an output. It is just for the purpose of running the slicers, but the whole paradigm is right in here, the activity. I'll show you the pipeline source, and then we will go over the HQL query as well. So in the pipeline source, I'm defining a Hive activity. I am saying the result output should be under this particular storage account in this location, and it is going to use as an endpoint. This is my DocumentDB address, the URI, and my DocumentDB key is right here. And here I need to define also my database and my collection name. So these are the two things that I defined as well. The rest, as I told you, it is required by ADF, but actually it's not utilized. How am I doing it behind the scenes? Now, let me show you. This is my PowerShell script, by the way, how I created the particular ADF. But this is the query that I used to make it happen. So here I define my external table. That's my the table that I am going to be populating at the end. Here I'm saying it's going to be an ID and the last name, and this is going to be the location of that particular table, and it's going to be stored as a text file with comma delimited. Here it becomes tricky, these lines. Here I'm defining an external table, Hive output temp. It is temporary because it is actually doesn't exist in the Hive store, Hive meta store, or Azure DB for that fact. It is residing on the DocumentDB, so I'm using the DocumentDB table properties. Here I'm saying, okay, this is my endpoint, the URI. Here I'm giving the key to that URI. Here I'm defining my database name, and here I'm defining my collections name. And here, what I'm doing over here is I'm just saying these are the columns that I'm interested in. And finally, this is the tricky portion. I'm just selecting ID and last name from Hive output. Behind the scenes, it's using this particular syntax, and then overwriting HR Hive output, which is the table that I defined right at the top. So this is the structure of my activity, ADF activity, that is getting executed right at this layer, right at this stage. Now let's talk about one last piece to this puzzle, which is this piece. As you can see, I have a library that I am calling, and by default Hive doesn't have this library. So how am I making it happen? Well, here's the trick. And there are two ways to do it. I'm going to show you one way, and if you want, I can also describe you the second way at a later stage or in the comment section. So here's my HT Insight cluster, and while creating an HT Insight cluster, I come to this place, I click on custom, and I say my demo HT Insight cluster 10. I hope it's available. Okay, so I select the Hadoop, I select the operating system, I select the HT Insight version, I click next, data nodes for region, click next. Let's put something here so that didn't like. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, now it liked. I'll use existing accounts, it doesn't matter. Now, here's the deal. This is where it gets tricky. You can put whatever you want, but this URI is going to be the URI of your deployment scripts, of your jar files. For me, they were located at this particular location. I put them into my blob storage, and I give them anonymous access so that I can just get the primary or the secondary location, which looks like this. So I take this one, come over here, I put it over here, and I need to run this thing in all nodes. If it had any parameters, I could have added them too. But right now, I'm not going to create anything, but this is how you can deploy jar files at the time of creation. Now, this is true for if you're running your own cluster. If you want to use an on-demand HDI, on-demand HT Insight cluster, what you need to do is in your Hive, you need to say add jar and give the name of this thing. By the way, this is not the jar file. As you can see, this is the PowerShell file. So you need to go into the PowerShell file, read about it, understand the jars that are involved, and then implement it. I think there are 3 different jar files, but you can just say test.jar and just continue like this. So that is how it works on HDI on demand. And if I had time, I would have run this thing. I've run it a couple times. Let me see how long it takes to run. It takes about 3 minutes. Maybe I will run. But essentially what's going to happen is it is going to take, there's nothing over here, and it will be just executing this Hive activity, which is this one. And one thing I can show you is how you can troubleshoot. So let's say one of your jobs failed. You click on your destination that has failed, which this one has failed. Nice. So I come over here, I click on the message. And then there are a couple things that it gives us. First of all, it gives me the Hive query that failed, so I can see the actual query right in the Internet Explorer's page. I can download it, which is really cool. It also shows me the status. Status 0 means it has failed. If it was 1, then it would have succeeded. The exit code is there too. The error is here. If you want to see the error message, it is right here. So pretty much you have all the things you need in order to troubleshoot this issue right from this UI. This UI came from a long way, and I really like the new UI, how it looks and how it behaves. So this is still running at this point, and once it is completed, we are going to be able to see the files at this layer. Right now it's still working. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, let me know from the link below, or you can email me at cemd@abacusdms.com. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye-bye.